Well, not too far from that, we see that Nigeria's external reserve also increased. This is good news and should boost the Naira. Let's find out why it hasn't done that now. Nigeria's external reserve increased this time to a 13-month high. This is as at July 4, marking a 13-month high, and this record indicates the highest level of external reserve that is touched since the introduction of the unification policy. Let's talk about this with Dr. Bamfo. Dr. Josh Bamfo is a partner and head of the transfer pricing services practice at Anderson, Nigeria. Joins us from Virginia in the United States. Dr. Bamfo, thank you for your time this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Ini.
Great. So we see our external reserve increase yet again, and we know the central bank has been telling us that inflows into the country has increased. Could you give us a bigger picture to help us understand or how this is happening, this increase, and what we should expect, because it's supposed to be good news?
All right. Clearly, this is good news for the economy. We all know that one of the major challenges we are facing in the economy when it comes to macroeconomic variables is the volatility of the exchange rate. And if the Central Bank of Nigeria is going to be successful in stabilizing the volatility of the exchange rate, they will need enough external reserves to be able to support whatever policy they want to implement within that particular market in terms of consistent supply of forex into the forex market. And having that buffer or increase in external reserves is a very good thing. There are a number of reasons, obviously. Obviously, we need to ensure that our exports are increasing or being sustained in a very high manner. That will be dependent on our export of crude oil, which is our main forex exchange earner. Also making sure that hopefully the global prices are stabilized. As you reported, the price per barrel is hovering around $86 per barrel, which is a good thing. In addition to that is the remittances that we receive from relatives and friends outside of the country coming through the appropriate channels into the foreign exchange market has been very important. And that's something that the Central Bank of Nigeria has done a good job with by dealing with the IMTOs and having policies to ensure efficient flow of forex into the foreign exchange market. So that's also a good thing. What we've also recognized is the portfolio capital injection report that we had for Q1 of this year, where there's been some significant demand for government bonds and treasury bills, bringing in some injection of forex. The last bit I will touch on a couple of loans. One is the Afrexim Bank loan, which is a crude oil-backed loan that Afrexim has made available to NNPC, and they've been disbursing this over time. That's around $3.3 billion. We know that the World Bank has also committed to inject about $2.25 billion to help the economy deal with some of the adverse impact of the key policies that they've implemented in recent times, which include the removal of fuel subsidy, as well as the unification of the foreign exchange window to make sure that we don't have a significant variance between the price of forex at the official market versus that of the prime market. So these are all significant sources of injection of external reserves, and it's good news to recognize that we've seen an increase in the value of external reserves in recent times. Just around April this year, I think it was around $32.11 billion. And today, as of July 4th, they've reported around $34.66 billion, which is a good outcome. I think what is even instructive will be the implications for the foreign exchange market. Are we going to have a situation whereby the Central Bank of Nigeria will be more committed to supplying forex and to deal with the forex shortage challenges? For me, I think that is going to be what we should be looking at for on a going forward basis. My belief is that the Central Bank of Nigeria should start placing a lot of focus on achieving that stabilization of the foreign exchange rate and volatility, as much as they are committed to bringing the average prices of goods and services down by consistently increasing the monetary policy rate since they took over June 2023. And to do that, I hope that they'll be able to commit to a particular narrow band that they're going to commit to ensuring that exchange rate falls within that narrow band. So, for example, We were all excited when the exchange rate started gaining and went towards $1,000 per 1,000 naira per dollar when it went to around 1,100. If they can commit to a particular band, let's say 1,100 to 1,200, 1,100 to 1,300, and be willing to intervene to achieve that, what that would achieve most importantly is to be able to curb speculative demand in the market. As long as speculators believe that in the short to medium term, the Naira is going to weaken, they will always have an incentive to continue to buy when they believe that the price is low and sell when they believe that the price for Forex is high. So what the central bank should be committed at doing now that they have a good buffer with the increase in external reserves is to be able to achieve some consistent rate that is stable, that is predictable, and can then curb some of these speculative activities. So for me, it's a good outcome that finally we are seeing some increases in the external reserves. It creates a buffer, and it enables the Central Bank of Nigeria to take some very strong policies relating to the exchange rate regime that usually has huge implications for the economy as a whole.
All right, but Dr. Banfo, isn't it risky? Aren't we going to be running back to where we were when you say they should set a particular band, and try to pursue it, talking about the central bank now and the exchange rate? Wouldn't that be taking us back to where we were if they were to set a band and then pursue it?
So the truth of the matter is, we are always going to be, as long as there's going to be some significant demand for Forex, we need to meet that particular demand in order for us to have a stable exchange rate. If not, there's going to be volatility. Anytime there's a surge in demand, and there's a shortage, then the price of the Forex then shoots up. That leads to high depreciation. So the first thing is for the Central Bank of Nigeria to have an understanding of the real value of the Naira against the dollar, right? And that can be done, by looking at the purchasing parity value of the dollar. Then they need to have some level of commitment in terms of some reasonable range within which they can manage, the value of the Naira against the dollar. If we don't do that and we leave it purely to market forces, where there's significant speculative demand in the market, which we've not been able to control, then we're going to be at the whims of, what the speculators do. Anytime they demand some significant amount of Forex, there's going to be a significant depreciation of the Naira against the dollar. And that volatility doesn't augur well for business planning. And as we all know, some of the reasons why some multinational enterprises have exited the economy is because of the volatility of the exchange rate and the fact that they cannot actually predict with some certainty and make any business plans, be it short-term to medium-term. So I think it's a commitment that the Central Bank of Nigeria has to look into and actually tweak their policy a little bit. I'm not saying we should go back to the fixed exchange rate regime. That created a huge disparity between power market and official rate, but we have what we call a managed floating regime, where you are floating it, but you are managing it within some set band to be able to curb speculative activities.
All right, Dr. Banfo, partner and head of transfer pricing services practice at Anderson in Nigeria, Dr. George Banfo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at that proposed reforms. Food security is top on our minds, and you know that. But that'll be after the break. Do join us again.